Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, all you wonderful wrestling fans. My name is Logan Wade. I'm a professional wrestler. I've been wrestling for the better part of three years now. I'm a proud graduate of UWE Pro Wrestling Academy. Today I've been asked by the promoter of United Wrestling Entertainment to mediate today's press conference and event. Before we get started today, I'd like to, on behalf of the company and its talent, extend a personal yet public thank you to Mr. David Stevens, who is president of Franklin Parish Rotary Club, a very active member of the Franklin Parish Tourism Commission. Mr. Stevens approached Dapper Dan and myself at a show that happened in the town of Columbia a few months back, and really began painting the path to get us here in Franklin Parish. So that all the wonderful yet historic citizens could experience the art of what we call storytelling and combat, as we know it as professional wrestling. Just like in Columbia, he now has even more confidence in the UWE to bring the absolute best to this great town, and we will do just that. Thank you, Mr. David Stevens. We won't let you down, or Franklin Parish. Thanks for really spearheading this project and bringing us to basket. It's been 37 years since professional wrestling has been brought to Franklin Parish, according to local historians. Part of the team responsible for breaking that historic fact and bringing wrestling back to the wonderful parish is our great sponsors. Without them, we truly mean none of this would be possible. This time, I'd like to recognize your local businesses who made today's event and show happening on July 29th in Baskin, Louisiana, possible. Citizens Progressive Bank, Winsboro, Louisiana. Smokers Paradise Plus, Winsboro, Louisiana. American Direct Auto, Winsboro, Louisiana. American Fast Lane, Winsboro, Louisiana. Knife Works, Columbia, Louisiana. Big Truck Insurance, Pineville, Louisiana. River Lake Homes, Winsboro, Louisiana. Special thank you to River Lake Homes and its owner, Mr. David Hibbs, for allowing us to be here today and giving us the chance to interact with the fans. Now, the moment we've been waiting for, and I'd like to introduce today's talent we have here today. When I call your name, please stand a moment and be seated. Cowboy Cliff Rogers. Gatekeeper. Devontae Bruce. Rico Wadley. Devin King. And your heavyweight champion, the Groovy King, Eddie Love. At this time, you can read some questions that's been submitted via email, messaging on the UWE Facebook page, and turn it over to the media here present afterwards. Starting off, I have 5 questions from the Flying Elbow Wrestling fan page. First question is for Eddie Love. Describe the feeling of being a champion, not just of UWE, but of the people, and what does it mean to you?
Well, first of all, I want to say the Groovy King was a champion way before he joined the UWE. As you all know, I was a 3-time, not just one, not just 2, a 3-time dance champion all over the world. I mean, but to me, stepping in this new, how would I call it, new battlefield, basically what it is, the wrestling world. It was definitely a challenge, but I'll say, as long as you put in the hard work, as long as you have the dedication, everything is possible. Like the great Dusty Rhodes said, you get you a dream, you hold on to it, and you reach for the stars. And that's exactly what I did. And to me, number one, the people is my number one priority. If the people don't love you, who else can? You know? And that's just my take on it personally.
Second question is for Rico Wadley. How did you become your character, and why a clown?
Strictly one reason, and that's because no one else was doing it. Everybody else said it couldn't be done. It hadn't been done in years, but I decided to bring the wrestling world back home. It started at the carnival, and what better way to show the world exactly what we've got to offer by bringing professional wrestling back to where it all began, the carnival.
Okay, good answer. Third question goes to Devin King. We understand that you were a rookie and new to the business, but what inspired you to become a wrestler, and why did you choose to learn under Dapper Dan at UWE Academy?
So, what inspired me really was probably my father. He was a previous wrestler, so second generation. So it's kind of in my blood, and so just saw him do it. He loved it. He chased his dream. So now I'm out doing mine, chasing my dream. Hopefully, eventually, get a chance to fight for that title right there. But reason why I chose Dapper Dan's UWE Academy is because I see all this talent on the sport right here, and it's phenomenal talent, really phenomenal talent, good training academy, and I couldn't have asked for any better trainers.
Thank you for that answer. Fourth question goes to Cowboy Cliff Rogers. What are your future goals, and where do you see yourself in the next 5 years in the business?
All right, well, you got your short term and your long term. So short term, hey Eddie,
Hey.
it's been a little while, buddy.
A little bit.
You doing
I'm
okay?
missing you.
Yeah, you too, bud, yeah. Short term, I gotta get back in that title picture, man. We had a great match. I had some business to take care of personally.
Two.
Guys like two, yeah. You're right. I don't really count the first, we were rookies. Anyway, I had stuff to handle with Jake Fury. Great match there, great little series. Jeremy Young, same thing, always gets personal. Anyway, short term, title picture, of course. Long term, love the UWE because it's home, but there's a lot more out there, right? So I dabble in Texas, Arkansas, Oklahoma, all those places, but long term, in 5 years, hopefully, no offense, but we need to be a little bit on more than just YouTube, right? Hopefully television, things like that. And, well, everything else, I don't know. Nice clothes, nice house, nice car. I think we'll just keep that where it's at. If we can just maintain that for 5 years, that'd be great.
Amen.
All right. Fifth and final question from Flying Elbow Wrestling fan page goes to Devontae Adams. Your recent split with Prince Fontenot seemed like it was part of a bigger plan or strategy. What was the reason for the split, and how do you feel about him now teaming with wrestling legend Mark Von Erich?
How do I feel about it? First of all, I can care less, because at the end of the day, he's still a has-been. He was a has-been when he teamed up with me. Like I said from day one, I carried Royal Pain. I did that. Nobody else but me. 245 days was on me. Y'all know it. They know it. I know it. So, really and truly, he can go get whoever he wants to. Was it part of a bigger plan? Of course. You know why? Because this man right here with this tie-dye shirt on over here. Let's be real. I just want to go ahead and tell him now, he lucky he got X Storms and he fight X Storms in basket. Because where X then tried 3 times, and no offense to him, I could get it done in 1. That's the whole thing. I'm talented. Like I said, UWE about to be UWE. And I'm going to prove that. Y'all laugh about it, but I'm about to tell you. I can prove that on and go forward. This is my year. This is my time. And I've been proving it since I stepped foot in the ring day 1. I'm going to continue to prove that as I go on.
All right, well.
If we're being honest, if we're being completely honest, you could have been had your shot at this. But you know what was wrong? You weren't up to par. See, the people that I face, obviously, right? Everybody that I face is, look at them now. Like Cowboy said, I faced him twice. I faced Jake Fury twice. These are notable people. But you, on the other hand, I guess nobody saw fit. That's not my fault.
Sound like an excuse, Eddie Love.
But you've never ever seen the Groovy King Eddie Love run from a challenge to this day. To this day, even before I won this,
Oh, so
I
now you Devontae, what his name is, Dante Wilder?
beat the likes
To
of
this day?
Frankie Thomas.
To this day?
I beat the likes of Niles Plump. Who you name it? Anybody that has ever stepped foot in front of the Groovy King, Eddie Love, for this championship, guess where they ended up? On their back pockets, getting a bus ticket back home.
First of all, if you want to go that far, I'm the only person who went undefeated in the UWE for the longest.
Congratulations.
And at the end of the day, even then, you wasn't trying to step to me then. So here's what I'll tell you. Get past X, come find me in Marshall in your hometown, and I'll take that belt from you.
In my hometown?
In your hometown?
In my hometown.
Your hometown.
Okay.
Because you see what happened to Chris in his hometown.
We'll see. We'll
Oh,
see.
oh,
As soon as I'm done with this,
Okay,
don't worry.
okay, we're gonna get back to the questions. That concludes the 5 questions from Flying Elbow Wrestling fan page. Goodness, getting heated up here.
I'm cool. I'm cool.
All right, good. Now we have 2 questions from Landon Wright, from 105.5 K-Buck,
He's a nice guy. I like him.
in Alexandria, Louisiana. He's a big fan of the group. His first question goes to Gatekeeper. Recently in a show in Shreveport, you tagged with Cliff Rogers and called yourselves the Desperados. Dapper Dan also was a part of the tag team with Ricky Gonzalez with the same name. Is this new partnership a sign of a permanent partnership? And was there any backlash for using the new tag name?
It wasn't. We actually went up to Ricky and themselves, and they okayed it.
Well, one of them okayed it,
Yeah, I
you
mean,
know, and we kind of took the 50-50 split and was like, well, I mean, it's not a no, you know. But no, in all seriousness, we had the pleasure of meeting the father of Raquel Gonzalez, UWE's, that Raquel Gonzalez. We met her father, Desperado, and we asked him if we could use it. He was fine with it because he'd seen our work. And I don't know, man. As far as the permanent partnership goes, it's you know, we have our ups and our downs, but you know, it's just what happens when your best friend is just like you.
I
You know?
mean, they say brothers fight, so.
Yeah, and that we did. Wrestling for East last year. It was fun, wasn't it? Yeah, come on, it was
We got a
fun.
lot out of the way.
Yeah, but anyway, you know, this year's Wrestling for East, hopefully Desperados, that'd be a pretty cool 180, you know, 1 calendar year later, you know, inspiring today's youth. You can bury the hatchet, am I right?
So I take it kind of like get permission for the name. It's 50-50 at the moment.
Well, no. Dapper Dan did come around, but you know, he's a little bit more hard-nosed than Ricky Gonzalez.
Can't.
It's just a lot to live up to.
It was, we just caught Ricky at a great time. He was about half a case of Miller Lite in, so, you know, it was a pretty quick yes.
You gotta learn how to people.
All right.
Landon Wright's second question goes to Eddie Love. Your recent feud with X Storms has been an ongoing problem for you. It is rumored, according to the Indie Dirt Sheets, that you may be facing him again here in Baskin on the 29th. How do you feel about that? And if you were to lose your championship to him, do you feel that it would be almost tarnishing to the heavyweight belt if the former light heavyweight champion wins it that night?
Well, to answer your first question, it is no rumor, ladies and gentlemen. July 29th here in Baskin, Louisiana, me and X Storms will go one-on-one in a Texas death match for the UWE Heavyweight Championship. And you longtime wrestling fans all over the world, you know exactly how a Texas death match goes, and you know the people that go into that match never come out the same. So, to answer the first question, that's what you get. Now, as far as the second question, I didn't agree with it at first that a light heavyweight was coming into the big boy leagues going for the heavyweight championship. But, you know, the Groovy King never complains, he never backs down, he just does what he's told and he executes. So even if I did lose this belt, I'm not going to knock X Storms. He is a great competitor. I mean, he is probably one of the top guys he is definitely one of the top guys in the UWE, and I think everybody in the UWE will agree to that. So, I mean, if I did lose it, it would hurt, you know. I mean, I'm the longest reigning champ in UWE history, and I've been holding this belt with gratitude. I mean, the right way, doing it the right way. And if he can fill those shoes, I mean, if he can get the job done, he'll get it done. But I don't see myself losing this championship anytime soon, to be honest, if you ask me. But that's just me. Who am I, you know?
Well, you are the champ.
That's right.
Okay, well, good answers. That concludes the questions from Landon Wright from 105.5 Buck. Thank you for submitting those. We have a few more to get through. Our next one, we have one question from Randy James, who is part of the UWE announcer team. And this question goes to Devin Keene. Being new to the business and the UWE brand, how do you feel about being around all the talent and action? And is there anyone in particular you may have your eyes on to challenge?
Well, to answer that second question, obviously, the heavyweight champion or light heavyweight champion. You know, I know he's wrestling coming up the 29th. So after whoever he faces, hopefully I'm next. Austin Andrews is a wonderful competitor, and like I said earlier, all these talents here. You know, all I can see myself going forward from. You know, I'm young. I'm 22. I'm like a sponge, and I'm soaking up all the knowledge that I can, and I'm trying to be the best that I can.
Good answer. Thank you, Randy James from the UWE announcer team for submitting that question. We have a question from the KALB sports team. They have a question for everyone on the family. What wrestler inspired you to start wrestling? We'll start with Cowboy Cliff Rogers and work down.
Oh, man. So, of course, coming up in Texas, it was the Von Erichs. That's what everybody talked about. But one of my first, you know, of course, Von Erichs is what you watch, right? But the one that really made me want to just really want to just get me a piece of that, you know, because I grew up rodeoing and stuff, but the one that really made me want to be like, man, that would be worth it. My trainer's going to hate me for saying this. Shawn Michaels, HBK. Yeah, HBK was, and you know, it is true what they say, I heard, you don't want to meet your heroes. So I'm sure he's a great guy, but that image I have in my head is he can just do no wrong. He's the king of wrestling, so I want to keep it that way. But yeah, Shawn Michaels, that's who made me really want to be like that. That's got to be worth a try someday, right?
Shawn Michaels is a good answer. Gatekeeper?
Well, you grow up in Texas, you hear the Von Erich names, you hear the Funks, Dusty Rhodes, but I guess as far as when I first started watching on TV live, watching Raw is more Stone Cold Steve Austin. I tell a lot of people if it wasn't for Stone Cold Steve Austin, there probably wouldn't be a gatekeeper.
Good answer. Ruthless Devontae Adams.
Well, growing up, I wasn't like everybody else who was on WWE side with the wars. I was more of WCW side. So my answer is more gonna be of somebody like Booker T, Rey Mysterio, people like that. Rey because of his size, and I'm the smallest person in UWE pretty much right now. And Rey has accomplished so much, and they just gave me the hope that I can do the same. Booker T because this is his striking ability with nothing but kicks. That's how my ability is now. My decapitator is the same as his scissors kick. So a lot of inspiration, and because also the five-time WCW champion. So at the end of the day, I like to accomplish the same thing, just like he did.
Booker T's a good answer. Rico Wilder.
Well, starting from many years ago, my inspiration growing up was obviously from the color scheme, the Hardy Boys. The Hardy Boys were my go-to guys you never knew what was gonna come from them, from both of them, Jeff and Matt. Both were high flyers, both were very charismatic and entertained you regardless if they were wrestling or they were cutting a promo or they were doing a vignette in the back or whatever the case may be. They were very entertaining, and that is what I want to bring to the new generation, just like they did to my generation. So I would have to say the Hardy Boys.
Hardy Boys is always a fan favorite. Ruby King?
Well, I have two of them actually. One that I used to love the most was probably Sting, original Sting, when he was, tag partners with Ultimate Warrior. He wore all the colors, he had the blonde hair. I just loved his charisma. Like, as soon as he walked out, he could probably walk out with no music, and the crowd would still probably go crazy because the fans were just in love with him. They just loved him. Everything about him, the yelling, and just the high-flying, flashy moves, the colors. I mean, obviously, I love colors myself. But one that you might not believe would be X-Pac. X-Pac, to me, he was always my favorite, always. Even though he might not be the most famous, or he might not be the biggest guy, X-Pac was sound in every way possible in a wrestling ring. And actually, X-Pac actually went one-on-one with our coach, Dapper Dan. I always loved X-Pac. He was different. He pushed the envelope. The whole D-Generation X pushed the envelope. I don't know. Something about X-Pac just stuck out to me, and I just always loved him.
That's a good answer. Devin King?
Ooh, man. So, I'm a younger cat. So, obviously, I still enjoy watching, Arn Anderson, Harley Race, all the old guys who paved the way for all of us to do this. But growing up, I loved watching Bryan Danielson. His technical wrestling is just out of this world. And then the inspiration, from his moveset transpires into my moveset, along with AJ Styles. AJ Styles is obviously he's phenomenal, no pun intended. But those two really have been my inspiration because, obviously I'm not the biggest, I'm over here with Devontae over here, and it's just not the biggest. So, I just, yeah.
All right. Guess if I had to pick somebody, it'd be Dusty Rhodes. He's always my favorite. And it's not because I like to get funky like a monkey. It's just, he's a good wrestler. So we have one more. It just got submitted. It just sent in from 97.7 The Cajun in Marksville, Louisiana. David. I'm going to direct this question to the Desperados. What tag team thinks they can take down New York Express?
Boom, right here. Right. Tell them why,
They're
kid.
the
Tell
only
them why.
tag team I have asked.
Tell them why. Tell them why.
We've been trying to do this since day one. Me and him had the chemistry. When we got in the ring with each other, we found out the toughness. When you put us together,
Well,
it don't matter who you put us against. We went against Jeremy Young, Alex the Pug Corto, and Shreveport,
so not only did we do that,
and we survived it.
but we know the weakness of one, and see, here's the thing, with a tag team, it ain't no, I can be good enough for the both of us.
Right.
It's a 50-50 thing. Dapper Dan, I don't know, he's a copperhead, okay? You think you got him, boom, he's got you at the last minute. You can just ask Groovy. I mean, sometimes brass knuckles just appear, right? We know how that works. So I wouldn't mess with him, but with Jake Fury, you gotta understand, he held those red belts once before. Hello, who got the pin? Again, so sorry. So who got the pin? Me, right here. So I know how he thinks. He's sloppy, he's a ring hog, okay, he thinks for one, not for two. You are a manager, which kind of led to us getting mad again. So
Yeah, because it wasn't Fury that won the match for him, it was me and him.
yeah,
Still.
exactly. So we know him inside and out. We dissect him. I can take a butt whooping from Dapper Dan. I've done it before. It's not fun, but I can do it. He does the rest of the world like a Johnny Cash looking surgeon, just meticulous. Tombstone, game over. Next question.
Y'all got a better plan than I did, because I carried my team the whole time, so.
Hey, good effort. Good effort.
So basically,
If it wasn't for Prince, you would have never held those belts.
Which was like,
Why
Gentlemen,
are you?
gentlemen,
Stop. I
gentlemen,
mean,
gentlemen.
I can't listen to this no more.
we're not gonna do this right here.
Let them fight. Oh, this ain't Texas, I'm sorry.
They may get their chance later on. One more question from David. I'm sorry, I know you're tired of answering this. This question goes to the ruthless Devontae Adams.
Oh, here you go.
Why did you portray Prince and align yourself with Logan Wade in the New York Express?
well, first of all, I didn't align myself with Dapper Dan and Jake Fury. It just happened to go that way. Only person I aligned myself was insurance policy right here. You know what I'm saying? Because it was time. It was time because you think about it. Go back to day one. First of all, Prince walked into the UWE, thought he was hot stuff. Shut him down when I first fought him back in the third show at Gina. Second of all, he thought he was going to get his lick back in Columbia. He barely survived that. So what else would he do? You can't beat him, then join. So, fought this man right here. Took a whooping most of that match from him because he's not around anywhere as normal, as usual. So, at the end of the day,
You know, you bring up that third show with Gina.
yeah.
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 You were called out by somebody else that you never ever acknowledged that question. And you looked right over him just now, again.
Oh, that was you, Wayne.
Yeah, it's me.
I do apologize for that, sir.
No problem.
But, you know, our time is coming in the future. So, whenever you ready, I'm fine with
I'm
it.
always ready.
So, I mean, hey, you fine with that? I'm fine with that. In the future, you know? But my thing is, back to the question. Who needs Prince? Who needed him from the beginning? I didn't.
Apparently you did.
I,
Would you be attacked?
Here's my
You're right,
thing,
you're right,
and
you're right.
let me address this too. Because see, I also called him out for July 1st. Where was he? Nowhere to be found. I understand he's supposed to be here today. Where is he? Find out I'm here. Don't show up. So, I called him out for what? July 29th? So Prince, I know you watching this right now. And you can look in this camera and look in my eyes, and I can tell you like this. You can show up, do whatever you want to do. But I keep hearing you get this tag team match against New York Express. That's fine. You still got to see me eventually. And if you feel some type of way, like your friend over here feels some type of way, we can get it in Marshville, partner. That's how I feel about it, whenever you ready. But remember, there is one stipulation I still want. I addressed that on Facebook already once before. So it's up to you if you accept that or not. Now, since your homeboy over here want to keep talking, like I said, I'll deal with him too. But then there's one other person who I want to address too, but he ain't here obviously. Come from this one-horse town called Winsboro. Amazing Austin Andrews. That's another individual carrying a belt who's pointless. See, that's the problem. Y'all got these champions that's pointless carrying these belts like they just top of the food chain. Really ain't done.
I gotta say one thing. Okay, my BS meter is broke right now listening to this. I've lost brain cells listening to this, and this is why. And I'm just gonna say, yeah, you were undefeated, but who did you beat? Who did you beat? You beat people that are pretty good now. You beat other rookies. Okay, I remember I was there the night that your streak started. I'm mad enough to admit I took a butt whooping that night. It was the American Ranger. It was terrible. But let me tell you, I'm mad enough to admit that. You got the win. You want to know how you got the win? Because your knee popped out of place. The referee was about to call it. Okay? And then some guy, I don't even remember, he's irrelevant, but some butthole run out there, got involved, and it ended. And there was no winner. That's how your streak started. Hold on, boy. That's how your streak started.
You know that part of the story, though.
You want to know what else happened? You were out of shape. Your matches didn't go no longer than 6 minutes, and then Prince Fautno took you under his wing, gave you just a shred of his bodybuilding knowledge, and turns you into the guy that I teamed with in Arkansas on the fly.
That part.
We had chemistry on the fly, and you were a different man, and you can't sit there and tell me, you can't be that dadgum arrogant to think that Prince Fontenot didn't get you in that kind of shape.
First of all,
Thank you.
We're gonna go back to the question.
hold on. Now, let me go on and address these two clowns at the same time. First of all, first of all,
To be honest.
if you want to be technical, yeah, you are right. Some of that did come from Prince, but at the end of the day, I carried him. He wanted to relive his old glory days being king of the Indies, and that's fine. But at the end of the day, that got shut down real quick. Because at the end of the day, I did a lot of the stuff. I took a lot of the whoopings, just like you said. But at the end of the day, too, think about it. Ask yourself this. At the end of the day, who did all the work, Cowboy? Who did all the work? And yeah, you're right. We did tag team in Arkansas. But what was it supposed to be before then? Me versus you.
You're right.
Now, at the end of the day, I fought you once before, and you are a hell of a comeback. But I will tell you this much. Devontae then and Devontae now is two different things. So like I tell you, like I tell Eddie, like I tell anybody else, I'm going to quote John Cena. You want some? Come get some.
And I'm going to quote just about everybody's role model ever. This is a very broad quote. Don't bite the hand that fed you.
Well,
It's going to be a long fall when you don't have no friends to catch you.
We're gonna move on.
And the only reason, I'm gonna say this, I'm sorry. The only reason you held those belts as long as you did is because they didn't put the Desperados in long enough.
You're right.
You know.
Because if we would have probably faced out, we probably would have lost them sooner than that because of him. So I'll give you
Hey,
that.
hey,
All right,
we're done.
move
I'm
on.
done with this. I'm done.
Okay. Well, thank you, David, for stirring up a hot mess.
Appreciate you, David.
I don't know. I enjoy it, actually.
It's whatever.
More like a hot tub.
Great questions. So this concludes the submitted question segment of this event. We now have questions. We're now going to open questions to any media or fans here. Any question? If you have a question, please raise your hand and wait to be recognized, and state where you represent or who you are, and we'll get the fun ball rolling. Is there any media present that has any questions? Yes, sir.
Cody Maroney, KMAR, here in Winsboro. Obviously, you guys grew up wrestling fans, but if it wasn't for wrestling, what job would you have gone after other than wrestling for the whole town? Yeah.
Yeah, we'll start off.
Man, I'm kind of a big believer in you can trade hours for dollars, or you can trade ideas for millions. So I would have probably tried to get a patent on something. I would have tried to figure something out and get a patent. And what, I'm not sure. You know, I mean, yeah, I do ranch stuff and all that, but you know, the whole thing with that, there's some redneck out there that's thought of it somewhere, you know. So, but I would have probably just, you know, been happy with the I used to rope and all that. And but I think, you know, I really got to thank UWE for showing me the wrestling, because, you know, it'd have been at the end of the day, it was getting really hard to watch it as a fan, because you always had that clawing in the back of your brain, like, God, I know I could do that. I know I could be one of those guys, you know. So it's like, you know, I'm glad I got to try it, so that I don't have to be one of those bitter old guys sitting around saying, what if, you know. But yeah, I'd have probably tried to patent something, and it'd been so rich it didn't matter how I feel, right?
I mean, for years before this, I did music of all kinds. And when UWE came up, I dropped everything. I haven't picked up a guitar or anything since I started training, since I started this, because growing up, I had a lot of dreams, but it wasn't nothing like being in between the ropes. And it happened.
Vontae?
I'm the same way with Gatekeeper. Was big on music and everything. Also big on mechanics, dealing with cars and all that. My family has always built muscle trucks, muscle cars. So big dream was to have a mechanic shop, music studio, things like that. UWE has brought out more of being in the spotlight for those talents. Thankful for those type of things. But, I mean, even if I still get the chance to do those things, I'm still grateful because of UWE.
I thought you were gonna be a preacher. Before we skip over me, had my health been available at the time when I was younger, I would have joined the Marine Corps like my family and just pursued that. Rico?
Well, if wrestling had never happened, I would have definitely pursued a career in graphic design, website design, computers. Growing up in the era that I grew up in, I saw computers and the internet as it was growing, and cell phones starting from, basically nothing to what we've got now. So if I would have known now what I knew then, I would have got into graphic design. And I mean, it has helped me, as you can see, do my own merch and all of that kind of stuff just by the knowledge that I know working through computer graphics and things like that. But I have been beyond blessed to have found the UWE, trained, got my license, and now pursuing a career in professional wrestling. But overall, it has helped my career grow, knowing what I know about graphic design. And it's always good to have a plan B, everybody needs one. So, yeah.
Good answer. Eddie?
Well, like I stated earlier, and as everybody knows, I mean, I'm just the king of dance. I have studios in California, New York, the Midwest, the South, everywhere. So obviously, naturally, I'm just a king of dance, Before this, if this didn't work, after this, I would, obviously I'd open up, I'd have more schools, obviously. But, I saw fit that I tried wrestling, and ever since I started wrestling, that's all I want to do now. Since I'm on top right now, so like they say, the only way you can go is down. I don't know if that means the same for me, the Groovy King, Eddie Love. But if I wasn't wrestling, of course I'd be dancing my way into the Hall of Fame books.
Now, do you prefer teaching or do you prefer owning business?
Definitely teaching, because rhythm is like athletic ability.
Right.
You either have it or you don't. You know what I'm saying? Or kind of like the Albert Einsteins or the Edgar Allan Poes. You either have it or you don't. You know what I'm saying? Those guys weren't just average Joes. They were different.
Yeah.
They were different. They were born different. Some of us is born different, and I happen to fall in that category of just different. It's just natural. I wake up and I'm excellent every day.
Yes, sir. Devin King?
Cool. Probably be chasing my other dream in MMA. I love fighting. I love.
Combat.
I just love combat. I love grappling. I love making people tap. I love breaking bones. So I love violence. So probably be my
Before we move forward and ask for any more questions, I forgot to mention, there has been a match announced for the light heavyweight title. Austin Andrews will be facing Gatekeeper for the title.
Oh, GK.
Aston, Louisiana, July 29th.
Look at that.
Gatekeeper.
No.
All right.
My time.
Any more questions? Yes, sir.
Joe Curtis with the Franklin Sun. This is for the champ. Champ, you said that your opponent for July 29th has laid his hands on one of your stepsons, and he's attacked you multiple times. How does that affect you mentally? Are you mentally prepared for your match?
To be honest, nothing like that has ever happened to me before. Nobody has ever been crazy enough to put their hands on my children, let alone anybody else's, And I'm pretty sure most of the people in here may have kids. How would you feel if somebody, a sworn enemy of you just brutally attacked your child, Bringing it up, I'm triggered all over again, but it's okay.
Are you going to be focused,
Oh.
or are you going to be just angry?
I'm
'Cause,
definitely
sometimes
gonna be
angry,
focused.
sometimes angry people, that are fighters, they actually wind up messing up and losing. So, are you going to be focused?
That is a good question. You're right. You are definitely right. I work on that a lot. Controlling my anger, controlled aggression.
Right.
Controlled aggression, that's definitely something I've worked on. I mean, I had to, if I didn't, I'd probably be in jail right now for what I've done, for what I would've did to X-Storms. Obviously it's gonna be in the back of my mind during our match, but I will try my hardest to not let it get in the way and overshadow the job at hand. So that's how I feel about it.
More questions? Yes, sir.
Bud Norton, from the UWE YouTube page. I have a question for Devin King. You had stated that you're a second generation wrestler. Your first match that you had in Marksville was against a bigger opponent. He was huge. He was twice your size. Do you feel that the size disadvantage was a key factor in your match, or do you feel like you just weren't quite prepared for your match there in Fifth Ward?
Well, obviously size, it's gonna win eventually. Obviously, I got some pretty good shots in, as you could tell, so I don't think that I wasn't prepared. I feel like I was prepared, but definitely the size of him was definitely probably a big key factor.
Anyone else? Yes, sir.
I'm not from the media, I'm just a fan. My name is Douglas Galloway. I retired from the Army several years back. When we were in college and high school, we used to go to Monroe to watch the old NWA and UWF with Jack Curtis Jr. and Cowboy Bill Watts. And one night, Curtis Jr. come here, I want to talk to you. He said, "You like wrestling, how'd you like to be a referee?" "Sir?" He said, "Yeah, the fella who's our referee wants to retire." He said, "Of course, you'd have to lose them glasses, go get surgery on your eyes, or start wearing contacts." He said, "I can't let you referee wearing glasses." I said, "Well, okay." But I turned him down on it, and I joined the Army. But I've always wondered what would have happened if I would have took him up on it and rode down to Florida to wrestling school to see what he wanted. Just kind of curious. I don't know. But I never got a chance to find out. But oh well, I didn't do so bad.
The door is always open here at the UWE for people that want to train as managers, wrestlers, referees, all of that kind of stuff. Everybody has the same chance. I understand back at when you were offered that position, it's one of those things, the what if's always gonna be there.
Yes.
And that's why I'm so proud to be with these guys here that have took the chance to pursue their passion and pursue their dream, so they don't have to have that what if. I know it eats and eats and eats at you over time because you're always wondering, and I'm proud to say that these guys, along with myself, won't have to deal with that when we're, older.
If you're asking more like what all the training entails, it's not as bad as wrestler training.
Yes, sir.
But you do wrestler type training. You have to learn how to take bumps. You have to learn how to run the ropes. You have to. There's a whole list of things you have to learn.
He had told me I would have to. He said, "Obviously, you look like you're in sort of good shape," but he said, "We're gonna get you doing push-ups."
Yeah.
He said, "The Marine Corps can't get you into good shape as I'm gonna get you."
That's a fact.
Working out and ring shape are two different things. Doing gym workouts and then going and getting in ring shape is completely 100%
You can be
different.
600 pounds and wrestle.
I've actually had a referee get pretty upset at me one time after a match. Came to me and they were like, "Dude, what was that?" And I was like, "What are you talking about? Do you not hear these people? I mean, that was a great match." He goes, No, your body's incredible. "Well, what's with all the pins, man? You wearing me out. 1, 2, 3, back up. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Well, it turns out I'm a classical, well, not classical style, but I'm more of a technical style wrestler. I like to actually grapple. So I'm gonna go for the pinfall if it's there." This poor referee, I watched the tape back, and if you've got anybody that's familiar with football drills, he was basically doing up downs trying to count the pinfalls for us. He'd go down there and 1, 2, 3, come back up, 1, 2, 3. I'm I'm like, man, you should have just laid down there and stayed a while. You know how to wrestle.
Well, the one referee told me, he said, I've only got hurt one time. And I said, what happened? He said, the assassin picked up somebody and he was gonna spin him around and knock the referee out of the ring. He said, I didn't get out of the way in time, and dude kicked me right above my right eye.
Oh, yeah.
And that had stitches.
It happens.
Yes, sir.
I'm actually the trainer for UWE.
Oh,
I
okay,
was the first ever rep.
Long.
okay.
I've had a lot of, you still get hurt, you get in the way.
Mhm.
I've had the Groovy King's big leg come across the back of my head and everything, fall on my ankle and everything else.
And I apologize for that.
I mean, it was his fault, so you don't have to apologize for him.
Are there any more questions?
Yeah, for Rika Wildley, right now you're on a hot streak.
Am I?
Yes, you are. You
Am
are.
I? Yeah, you can keep looking. Anyway,
What's your driving force behind your great performances here lately?
I know one day this is all gonna come to a close. Just like all of us, whether we talk about it or not, one day this is all gonna come to a close and it's going to be just a memory in all of our minds. So why not go out there each and every time and do exactly what you wanted to do since you were a kid watching it on TV and perform at the top of your ability. You never know what match is gonna be your last. You never know when all this is gonna come to a close. So go out there, give it 110%, whether it's 10 people or 5 million people, it doesn't matter who's sitting in that crowd. You wanna give each and every person who paid to buy a ticket to come and sit and watch you perform and entertain something to remember. And that's my ultimate goal, is to, when you leave the event and you're on the ride home and you and your kids or you and your family are talking about the matches that just happened and this one done that amazing move and this one done that amazing move, I want to give you something that you can talk about later. You may not remember the name, but you're gonna remember the lights, you're gonna remember the mask, you're gonna remember all of it, because win, lose, or draw, you were entertained. That's the goal.
Very good.
Good answer. Any fans have a question? Don't be shy. You can ask anything.
Open book here, guys.
Mr. Bidwell.
Y'all know who I am?
Yes, sir.
I got a question for Devontae. I heard you talk about the light heavyweight champion Austin Andrews and how he's really not up to par, but and basically he was like you could beat him. But didn't you recently have a match with him and lost?
You didn't want to talk about that, did you?
I didn't want to bring that up.
Care to respond, sir?
We're just gonna sweep over that.
You got
Sorry, sweep that under the rug.
And it's on film.
Go ahead.
I didn't say it wasn't. And yeah, that is true. But months before, center, I've beaten Austin Andrews. I actually took the tag team champions from him and what that other dude named HD?
Wait a second, but that's not singles competition.
No. But I did beat him in singles competition back in the center.
So you got 1 for 1.
But couldn't beat him for the big title.
Would you really call that a big title?
Yeah.
Would you really? I call that the biggest title.
But
You know.
anyway, you still lost.
Anyway.
But like I said, I'm not gonna overstep gatekeeper because he has a match with him. But like I said, and they'll want to step up, I'm gonna shut them down. We learn from past mistakes, and that's what I did. And even from watching X and Groovy King, I'm studying him. So when I know when the time is right, I'm coming for the belt.
Better have a big notepad.
Trust me, I do. But at the end of it all, regardless, if I won one championship, I can win another. Whether it's here, Arkansas, Washington, Florida, wherever the case may be. Like I said, this is my time, this is my year. I'm gonna prove that whatever it's gonna take.
All right. Any more questions? All right. Anything from the Facebook Live? No? All right, at this time, we'll end the press conference, and you guys come up, shake hands, and greet everybody, and get your autographs, and thank you all for coming.
July 29th,
July
see you in
29th.
Mascon.